Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Esley Greer from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews, back with another video, and today is a new series that I've been wanting to start for the last half year, and this video has been in the works for about half a year. Today's video is old gen versus in gen, which is pretty much like an OG versus remake thing. I wanted to name it something different, like old generation, new generation. Sort of sounds like in gen, new gen. Sort of like the Insane Trilogy and Engine, whatever, Crash Bandicoot. But anyways, I've been really wanting to make this video for a long time because Child's Play, the 1988 one, was the very first horror film that I ever saw. And then when they made a remake last year, I was very skeptic when it was announced. But I thoroughly enjoyed that film, so these are different aspects of the film that really resonated with me, and like I'm gonna compare the two and do like a point versus point thing, tally or whatever. So yeah, let's get started. I want to start off by saying that I have a good friend of mine, Devin Heaton from Heaton's House of Horror. He is going to be in this video. So as always, I let my guest speak before I do. So take it away, Devin.
Hey guys, Devin Heaton here from Heaton's House of Horror. It's a huge honor to be able to do this and talk about Chucky with a good friend of mine, Esley. Man, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. So let's get started. So right off the bat, obviously I'm gonna have to give this one to the original classic. I don't know, man. It's like the story to it just it's a little bit better. It's a little more 80s cheese, you know what I mean? It's just the perfect little aspect in a killer doll movie, right? The voodoo aspect is the number one thing in Chucky. But like I do like the AI aspect in the remake, but like again, it just doesn't hold a candle to the original classic. Charles Lee Ray, the Lakeshore Strangler, right? We had a character, whereas the remake, it's just like AI, right? It's no longer Chucky being possessed by the soul of Chucky, but it's still a pretty good aspect, like it's modern day aspect, like that's just me though. That's just my personal opinion. Feel free to think differently. It's all good. This whole comparison, you guys can probably think differently, but it's okay. So for the dolls, again, I'm gonna have to go with the original classic. I purchased a Trick or Treat Studios Good Guys doll myself. I have yet to buy a Buddy doll. I don't really feel a need to buy a Buddy doll. I was thinking about it, but it's a one and done thing with Buddy, I guess. Hopefully there's a sequel, but I don't really have high hopes. I'm huge on the Good Guys doll look. I've been obsessed with the look of the Good Guys doll since I was like 4 or 5 years old, since I first seen the original Child's Play. But yeah, this one has to go to the original classic as well. So for the kills, I'm gonna have to go with the 2019 remake because I find that those kills are a lot more gruesome, and it just feels appropriate for that type of film. Whereas the original, we didn't really have very many kills. It was great seeing Chucky run around and be freakish and like insane, but Chucky was kind of like on a leash at that point in the first film. The bond between Karen and Andy, I definitely have to give it to the original. Despite Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent not really knowing each other very well, they really clicked on screen, I thought anyways. But Aubrey Plaza and Gabriel Bateman, I thought they did okay. Like they're easily convincible, I guess, but or convincing, but yeah, I'd have to give it to the original classic again. Aside from Mark Hamill and Brad Dourif's performance, the other characters' performances in each film were okay. Well, okay, so here's the thing. So in the original, like, Alex Vincent really was not the greatest actor. He was only like 6 years old, you know, you can't really blame him. It comes off as cute, I guess, to some people. But it's obviously, like, there's some points where he stutters or just takes a little too long to just finish a sentence, you know what I mean? Whereas in the remake, everyone's kind of, like, a little more, like, open and kind of, like, free with what they want to say. It's, like, it's a little bit better in the remake, but again, like, Catherine Hicks did a phenomenal job. Chris Sarandon, not Mike Norris, Chris Sarandon did a phenomenal job. Going back to Chucky, Brad Dourif did an amazing job as Chucky. I thought that it was perfect having that, like, little bit of spice to it, you know, that explosive kind of Chucky. But yeah, Mark Hamill's Chucky was great. I thought it was way different than the original. I liked his style that he used for his voice acting, you know, like the particular kind of, like, you are my boy, you know, like, kind of like robotic kind of, you know. I definitely have to go equal again, but, you know, it's a little more convincing in the remake. But the only flaw in the original is Andy, or Alex Vincent. So it's equal for me again. So the endings of each film, I'm gonna have to go with the original again. It doesn't really set it up for a sequel, but at the same time, it leaves it open kind of for a sequel, you know what I mean? Without really necessarily setting it up. I thought the freeze frame at the end of Andy's face was perfect, but I thought it should have been the freeze frame of Chucky's head instead. The ending of the original will always be my favorite, but the remake, it definitely sets up for a sequel. I'm not sure if we're gonna get a sequel due to Don Mancini and his issue with the remake and MGM. We're not gonna get into that, but yeah, the remake sets itself up for a sequel, and I thought it was smart, you know, because it's AI, so it's like kind of like there's the whole cloud thing where you can transfer, right? So maybe that will be the Cult of Chucky remake type thing. But yeah, again, I'm gonna have to go with the original. So before this video ends, guys, I just wanted to say again, thank you so much, Esley, for bringing me onto your channel, man, and having me be a part of your video for Chucky. I love talking about Chucky, man. If you ever want to go on a live stream or whatever with me and just talk about Chucky in the horror group that we have going on, just let me know, man. Have a good day. Thank you for bringing me out again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being part of this video. I'm glad that we're able to get you aboard on this video because me and him are both big Chucky fans. I have the Spencer's Child's Play 2 doll, and then I got this candy holder Chucky. Not the greatest, but it was like 30 bucks, so whatever. And he has like the awesome Tots Trick or Treat Studios Child's Play 2 doll, which I can't wait for the NECA Bride of Chucky one. That's like the main one that I'm gravitating towards right now. It's the main one that I want, but really enjoy this one I got right here. So anyways, the first thing that I want to talk about is Chucky himself, because Chucky has been the selling point over the course of 8 films, you know, including the remake, even though they do something a bit different with his character. So with both of these films, I feel like they didn't know what they had yet, even though, you know, the 2019 is a remake, but they do something different with it, but they don't fully utilize everything that Chucky can do, but he does quite a bit in the remake. But in the original, you know, the voodoo aspect of the whole film, and he's not quite yet the Chucky we know and love, but it's a very fresh start, and it's a very fresh start for the 80s, you know, because there are no standout horror films that had dolls in it back in the day. And so here came Child's Play 1988 and just revamped the whole thing. I don't feel as if the Chucky in here is quite as memorable as, you know, the Chucky that we've grown to love today, but you gotta think, when the first film came out, it was like a big sensation. The remake, not so much, but anyways, Chucky himself, he is a bit foul-mouthed in both of these films, but more so in the original. With this new Chucky, there's only one film to compare him with, so I can't really like latch onto this Chucky yet until we get more sequels, if there is going to be any sequels, because this film made less money than the original Chucky, and that's bad. Like, the first one came out in the 80s. New one came out last year. Like, I don't know why the original made more money. Oh wait, because it's a better film. I'm gonna have to give the point to the original Chucky because, of course, that is the Chucky that scared me. But I'm sure that, like, if audiences or like younger kids around 5 or 6 seen the remake, they'll probably say that one's more scary. But there's aspects with each of the Chuckies that are pretty scary in both these films. So the second thing that I want to talk about is the doll itself, because the animatronics in the original look way better than they do in the remake, which I think of it this way. With the remake, I feel as if they're trying to like replicate like a B-movie animatronic doll film from the 80s and giving this as a remake of Child's Play, but the animatronics in the original were top notch, so I don't know why the original animatronics look better than that of the Chucky in this one. I'm given he's a robot, but there are different wonky effects in both of these films, because the original, you can tell in different scenes that there's like a hobbit in some of these scenes dressed up as Chucky, and then in the remake there's some CGI shots that don't look so well. But either way, I'm gonna have to give the point to the original again, because the special effects hold up pretty well. The third thing that I want to talk about is the kills. Now, the kills in the original scarred me when I was little, but I look at them now and they're pretty tame. You look at the kills in the remake and oh boy, there is like one kill in here that stands out among the rest with all these films. And that's when the cheating husband that Karen is, you know, boyfriend girlfriend with, and she doesn't know that he's married, but either way, he gets what he deserves, and his death just stands out and is one of the best in the whole series because it's pretty gruesome and I just love it. There is not many kills that stand out in the original. Like, I can remember all of them because, you know, it's my favorite horror film of all time, but you think of anything gory, the most gore that we probably get is, you know, when the dude gets electrified to death. But I mean, that still holds up pretty well, but it's not gory, and it's not like, I mean, given it would be a really bad way to go. But anyways, I'm gonna have to give the point to the remake. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is the bond between Andy and Karen, which in the original, it's a very motherly son aspect, but it's very convincing as mother and son, whereas in the remake, it's like a younger brother, older sister type thing, where like she has to take care of her brother because maybe their parents died, but it's really his mother, but they just don't come off as mother and son. It's more like younger brother, older sister. So I'm going to have to give the point to the original because the connection that Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent have on screen is perfect. And I wish that we can get that again sometime soon, hopefully in the TV series or something. The fifth thing that I want to talk about is the bond between Andy and Chucky. In the original, you know, it's a little kid and, you know, he just loves his doll to death, which I love my doll to death. But anyways, yeah, it's very believable as well. But you don't get that many scenes of Andy and Chucky interacting with each other. Maybe like one or two, but in the remake, I'm gonna say about half the film is like Chucky trying to be Andy's best friend, and it's the most adorable and cute and sweet thing you've ever seen in a horror film, which is really weird. It's not what you come to expect in a Chucky film, but I'm gonna have to give the point to the remake because as weird as it is, you know, Andy doesn't want anything to do with Chucky in the beginning, and then they start to become friends, and then Chucky fucks up, and then, you know, all that pursues. But I think the connection that they have in the remake is better than that of the original because there's a lot more scenes of that in the remake. And it's pretty tight. So the sixth thing that I want to talk about is which is more relevant in today's standards. In 1988, you know, you had the voodoo aspect. 2019, you had the AI, artificial intelligence, Terminator type thing with the doll. And I feel as if the point has to go to the remake because everyone is on their phones nowadays, and Chucky can control all your electronics, and, you know, everyone's lives today revolves around electronics. I mean, what do you think I'm using to film this video? What do you think I watch movies on? It's either my TV or my phone or my PS4. Like, my world revolves around entertainment, you know, especially electronics. So there is not one person that I don't know that has a cell phone. Everyone I know is just sitting on their phone, playing on their phone. I do the same thing, but, you know, I try to do these videos at the same time, so I'm doing something, you know. But whatever. Everyone's lives revolves around electronics, so I'm gonna have to give the point to the remake. No one I know does voodoo, so the next thing I want to talk about is the characters in here. It's pretty much the same exact characters of that in the original, but they do a few things different with that in the remake. Catherine Hicks as Karen in the original, you know, is a very motherly person, and she just comes off as like a very nice, sweet, motherly figure. Alex Vincent as Andy is just like the cutest little kid you've ever known. And then Chris Sarandon as Mike Norris, very believable, and his role as a cop, he's probably one of the best cops on film in a horror film, in my opinion. And you have all the other side characters, they do their job as well. But in the remake, you have Gabriel Bateman that plays Andy Barkley, and then you got what the fuck is her name? Aubrey Plaza plays Karen. She's very deadpan like she is in most of her films, but that's what you come to expect with Aubrey Plaza. And then you have forgot what his name is, but he plays Mike Norris. He's from Atlanta, which is pretty cool. Which I'm like an hour away from Atlanta, so that's pretty cool, but whatever. And then you got his mother in here. Like, those are the four main, and you have like all the other kids in here. It's like a Stranger Things aspect to it, which like most horror films now and like most thrillers or everything nowadays has to revolve around something to do with Stranger Things. Like Stranger Things revamped the 80s, and everyone wants to do something. Everyone has something to do with Stranger Things now. It's weird, but the remake has more characters, but the original has more characters that I care about personally on a deeper level, so I'm going to give the point to the original on this one. So the next thing that I'll talk about is the acting, which is sort of in the same vein as the characters, but and that's why I had to give the point to the characters in the original, is because the acting, everyone is so believable, and you really fall for Catherine Hicks as Karen, you fall for Alex Vincent as Andy, Chris Sarandon is very believable as Mike Norris. Then you have the remake, which is pretty much on par with the original, but like I said, you got more characters that you care about in the original, and you have a lot of side characters in the remake. But again, I have to give the edge to the original because, like I said, I connect with them on a deeper level, because the relationship between Andy and Karen in the original is one of the best that I've seen on screen with the mother and son aspect. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the ending. It doesn't play out the same in both films, but again, I'm going to give the edge to the original because the ending to me is very iconic. Like I said, it's the first horror film that I ever saw, and like the whole last act is ingrained in my brain. I've seen the remake, I'm going to say 3 or 4 times now. Because like at first it was like a guilty pleasure, like it was like a Tommy Wiseau, so bad it's good, and I've came to like thoroughly enjoy it. But the remake is a bit different than that of the original, where, you know, Chucky, which the idea is a lot more cool in my opinion, where like Chucky takes over this, you know, department store full of electronics, and like all these electronics come to life and they try to kill everyone in the store, and then somehow Chucky kidnaps Andy's mom and he tries to save her, and then, you know, Chucky goes after Andy, and then Mike shoots Chucky, sort of like that in the original, and then Andy and his friends get the rest of Chucky's body and just tear it apart, beat it to shit. And then in the original, it's very grounded in reality, sort of, where Andy has to take Chucky home, and then Karen and Mike have to save Andy in time before Chucky possesses him. And then that whole last act is very suspenseful, and Chucky just keeps coming back, just like that of any 80s horror film where the killer always has to come back. And there's like 2 or 3 times you think that Chucky dies, but no, he comes back. I don't know, it's just very iconic in my opinion, so I'm gonna give the edge to the original again. So if we want to keep track, there's 6 points for the original and then 3 points for the remake, which I'm not saying that the remake is a bad film. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy it, but there's aspects that I enjoy more in the original, and it just has more of a special place in my heart, I guess you could say. But there are a few aspects that I prefer from the remake to the original. So like, I'm not shitting on the original because it's my favorite horror film of all time, but they could have done some things better, and that's where the remake comes in and does it a little bit better. So I want to thank Devin Heaton from Heaton's House of Horror for being a part of this video. With that said, I want you guys to let me know which one you like better and tell me why, give me reasons why, because I like to engage with you guys and the conversations we have are phenomenal. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to Devin Heaton at his channel Heaton's House of Horror. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and with that said, if you found any entertainment in this video, let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't be scared to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It'd be highly appreciated, and peace.